The Supreme Court has just handed Donald Trump a major win for the 2024 presidential elections, with the former president facing multiple legal challenges in New York and Georgia against Letitia James, Fani Willis, and Alvin Bragg. It's surprising to see this huge development come out. It also means that the Supreme Court understands that Americans are not as stupid as what these people might think of us, especially when it comes to who people want to vote for. The United States is the land of the free for a reason, and with this unanimous vote, that idea has been echoed very clearly. And guys, before we really get into this, all I ask is that you guys take 1 second, drop a quick like for the video. I totally appreciate that, and I want to thank you guys so much for sharing this video. You guys have no idea how much it helps the channel. So the Supreme Court voted 9-0 that states cannot kick former President Donald Trump off the ballots. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys may remember that we saw multiple states push for Trump to be removed from the ballot, even though removing him didn't even really help Nikki Haley in her push for the Republican primary. This happened in Nevada, where 63% of the voters opted to choose the option none of these candidates instead of Haley. This is because Trump's name was not included in the Nevada primary. Now, this also affirmed that Trump's name was wrongly removed from Colorado's primary ballot last year, meaning that his name is now cleared to appear on ballots in all 50 states of our country.
As the Supreme Court has reversed the Colorado Trump ruling. So this is a major win for Donald Trump, as the Supreme Court has ruled on the Trump ballot case. Supreme Court keeps Trump on the Colorado ballot, rejecting the 14th Amendment push. This was just released moments ago, as it says in the writing. A group of Colorado voters contends that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment in the Constitution prohibits former President Donald J. Trump, who seeks the presidential nomination of the Republican Party in this year's election. That was the case that was brought against him, and it said that the court in the ruling holds that the Constitution makes Congress rather than the states responsible for enforcing Section 3 against federal office holders and candidates. We reverse. Justice Barrett concurs in part and concurs in the judgment. She agrees that states do not have the power to enforce Section 3 against presidential candidates, but would not go further and address whether federal legislation is the only way that Section 3 can be enforced there. So this is breaking news, as the Supreme Court backs Trump in a unanimous Colorado ballot ruling there. So this was a big ruling that came down. Big win for Donald Trump. He is back on the ballot in Colorado, and this will definitely change the course in other states like Illinois, who just recently banned him from the ballot. That will reverse course here as well.
Many analysts say that this tactic to remove Trump's name is bordering on election interference. Some critics say that it's directly trying to influence the American people to not vote for Trump, even though he has every right to run for president. The Supreme Court wrote that states may disqualify persons holding or attempting to hold state office, but states have no power under the Constitution to enforce Section 3 with respect to federal offices, especially for the presidency. It's also a huge blow to Trump detractors that so badly want to see him removed from the ballots. This is the case for Illinois, as they're now out of legal options to hold back the former president. A Cook County judge was relying very heavily on the Colorado decision to have Trump removed. And with this ruling now reversed, it seems as if a lot of people are being embarrassed. Granted, Colorado will probably vote for Biden by November, but there's something that's going on over there that might change a few minds. Colorado has been considered a swing state before. That is, until it became more of a Democrat state. Now, what's happening over there? Well, there's some unrest as the influx of illegal immigrants enter the state. And while they don't consider themselves to be a sanctuary state or have sanctuary cities, Denver Mayor Mike Johnston has announced that they're willing to spend up to $180 million on illegal immigrants for this year alone. It also has some analysts reading this as a warning, as a sign that they could be pushing some of their constituents away with their policies. And just recently, there's already been some pushback from Colorado Springs. Members of their city council voted 6-3 that they're not a sanctuary city and that they're not a landing zone for illegal immigrants coming through our southern border. Now, since we've discussed both Trump and the elections, Nikki Haley just got a huge win for her primary aspirations. She won in Washington, D.C., a sign that Democrats are really pushing for her to win. Washington is one of the most heavily Democratic jurisdictions in our country. I believe they only have about 23,000 Republicans in the entire city. Haley won by at least 30 points compared to Trump in DC, making her the first woman to win a Republican primary in American history. Critics say that she's just a Democrat disguised as a Republican, but that's mostly based off the donations that she's removed from the left. Others are arguing, though, that she should run just as a Democrat, as she recently said that she wouldn't endorse the Republican nominee if it turns out to be Trump. Now, just to go ahead and clear things up, this pledge to endorse the eventual Republican nominee was one of the requirements from the Republican National Committee. Requirement for what, you might ask? Well, it was for candidates to become eligible to participate in a series of GOP debates before primary season began. Trump abstained from signing the pledge, and because of this, he was not a part of any debates with his fellow candidates. Haley says that endorsing someone other than herself would be conceding defeat. Fair enough. She also admitted that at the time of the debate, she said yes and signed the pledge in order to get on stage. But now the RNC has supposedly changed. Many experts are unsure what she means by this, but I think it's pretty clear that Haley probably won't hold her end of the bargain when it comes to this pledge. Now, just to remind you guys, Haley blasted Ron DeSantis for not committing to support whoever the Republican nominee would be and called the Florida governor absolutely irresponsible for doing what she's doing now. Many wonder as to what's changed in such a little bit of time, right? Now, it might be a good thing that Trump didn't take DC, as it shows that any trial there would completely be biased against him. This was further proven by Marc Elias, a Democratic elections lawyer, when he said something very revealing in a recent Twitter post. In it, Elias said that in a city of 700,000, Trump only got 676 votes in the GOP primary. He even called it a tough jury pool. This led to many comments from Americans saying that this is by far the worst place for Trump to have a trial. It would be virtually impossible for Trump of all people to be tried here in a fair manner. And Elias may have just said the quiet part out way too loud. This goes against the Sixth Amendment that requires that a defendant should receive impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed. Which raises a very important question. Has Trump been receiving impartial judgments as of late? Let's just talk about the case in New York with Letitia James. Some analysts are confused to the amount that they're charging former President Donald Trump there. The reason is that no one lost money with what they're alleging against him. There were no banks that said that Trump never paid for his loans. Everyone made money and there were no losers. But despite this, James and Judge Arthur Engeron, they concluded that this entire fraud case was worth $500 million. And here's the thing, these banks are not getting this money because this crime doesn't have any traditional victims. In fact, Trump argues that there are literally no victims in this case. This has led analysts to conclude that there is some definite bias here, which also proves that it would be quite difficult to have an impartial trial with Trump in specific states here in the country. Whatever the situation may be, it's expected that most, if not all, of Trump's cases will continue to drone on for the rest of the year. Experts predict that his legal team will do its best to make sure that Trump actually makes it to the November presidential elections, with many saying that this could be one of the most important elections of our lifetime. But what are your thoughts on this? As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to continue to keep you guys updated on what's going on here. Before I go, I just want to thank you guys for liking and sharing this video. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Take care.